Struggling.
It's just what it don't have the capacity.
Fire.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Trifactor podcast. This will be episode 31. Once again, the Trifactor podcast is to shed a spotlight on the Trinidad diaspora of professional footballers, and not only professional, but if you make it to intercol level, university level, and well, we have a Trinidad and Tobago international here. So tonight we have Andre Fortune the second. Good night, Andre. How are you doing, bro?
Good night. I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
We good. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. So I like to kick it off with going all the way back. Simple question. So you get into football, bro. What were your first memories of football?
So actually I have a picture at home with me laying in the crib with a ball next to me.
Right.
I don't
That's all like your father push you out.
I don't remember it myself, but from the very, very beginning, I think I've always been involved. And my father's a coach, and he always has been, as far as I know. So just being around the game and stuff like that, I think that's really where the involvement started.
Okay. So all in the crib as a youngster. Your parents are from Trinidad and Tobago. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Both parents.
Both parents.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
So give us a little bit about that background. How they ended up in the US.
So I think they both came up for school, really.
Right.
So they both ended up, in the Northeast, doing their thing for school and whatnot, and then ended up moving to North Carolina. And not too long after that, I came around, and it's just always been, I've always been very appreciative of that, because I've had the culture growing up in the household. Obviously living in America, you get that side of things as well. So I had kind of two cultures growing up, which I was really appreciative of. I always had a different perspective than the other people around me. So
Sure.
It was nice.
You used to go Trinidad often?
Yeah, we used to go. I don't know if they did it intentionally, but I think it was once like every 2 years or something like that.
That's good.
Having family down there and stuff like that.
So Carnival and Fete and thing, you know about all that?
Well, I know about it. I never was.
Yeah, they won't let them do it. I grew up in youth man for that. But
It's kiddies carnival, man. So
yeah, but you bring our youth man quite back here to go to this carnival. No, you watch it on TV.
All right. But you know about doubles and bacon shark and the food.
Well, all of that.
All right.
If you don't mind, Martin, where you folks from? We are a little biased on this podcast.
Yeah,
from North or South?
Well, to be honest, I don't know in particular. I think
what part of Trinidad you used to stay when I come back then? I don't
even remember, because the last few times I went, I didn't
stay training.
Family.
Yeah. It was in training. Yeah, I understand that.
What was it? Give me a city name, not give me a name of town.
No. He sound like a North man.
Yeah, nothing. Malabar.
He sound like a North man. You know what I'm saying? He sound like a North man.
North. I think my parents are from the North. I couldn't.
He sound like a North man. If he was a South man, you'd have tell you that from one time.
They drill it to him,
right? Yeah, they drill it to him. He a North man. Because you see, North people, we don't have to prove ourselves. So that's what's going on. The South men and them. You're North man, most likely.
Relax yourself now. Right, so
But here what you're doing for me, Andre. You just come from one of my parents. If we correct, right?
Yeah, I could do that. I know.
Yeah. Let me know that.
Yeah. So as you can see, so I did the rap guy on here.
Me?
We keep it pushing, right? So
me,
youngster. Since you're in a crib, I like to ask people about their natural attributes before they will develop. What you think were your best attributes or raw talent?
I think the perception, the way I see the game, I think that's one of the things that I'm really good with. But then always, like, from a young age, one of the things that was always trained and worked on was the technical aspect of the game, and I think I was able to grasp a lot of those things quite well with both feet.
Right.
And and just kind of keep pushing it and developing that. So I think technically, that's definitely one of my strengths.
For sure, I see it in some highlights. Dog, I was checking it out 2.2, and I see the man score a left foot volley. I see the man score a right foot curls like Lampard, like just everything. All right.
Yeah. We see you like a box-to-box midfielder, very technical. Who would you say was your idol, for lack of a better word, growing up?
In terms of for football on the whole, I grew up watching Ronaldinho.
Right.
You know, so he kind of, you know, made me fall in love with the game and whatnot. In terms of my specific position, I don't think I really truly idolized somebody until later on. So, you know, somebody like a Yaya Toure or
right,
like you know, I think that would be the guys that I really look at more recently.
That's a great player there.
We'll say you're going to have my question again, because my question was going to be, right, given your age, you would have been maybe about 10, like when Trinidad football had its highest moment now. So I was wondering, like, if there were any particular Trinidadian players that you followed up on and looked up, not just like the generic footballer, but like, you know, you're somebody that you thought you resonated with in the Trinidad football setup. I don't know if that's totally a question.
Yeah, I think it was a bit early for me in terms of, you know, positionally and whatnot, because obviously, you know, I had the opportunity of going to the World Cup actually, so I was there. I watched all 3 games. Yeah.
Enjoy?
Yeah.
Wow,
so
nice.
Yeah, well, you get through there, like.
yeah. I got to enjoy that one, you know, personally up close. So I wouldn't say there were any players in particular, at least not from a footballing standpoint. You know, so for example, as a younger guy, like I like Brett Sancho because of his hair. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, from a football way, yeah, not really. I wouldn't say there was anything yet.
Yeah. And then I get the exposure to it, so I could understand that. That makes sense.
Right.
It sounds like from a young age, it had a football culture around
supportive family.
Yeah, going to the World Cup, things like that. You were very exposed. Tell us a little bit about your parents, most likely your father's influence on your career so far.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's been huge. I don't think I could ever really truly summarize it in terms of everything that he's done and helped me with growing up. I mean, there's, you know, countless hours spent on the pitch every afternoon after school training. You know, the financial sacrifices, being able to you know, take me here, take me there. You know, he's coached me up until I ended up playing academy up in the States. So it was a lot of there was a lot of effort put in, and not just from him. Obviously, you know, my mother's involved too. I have a younger brother who's always there, but yeah, the efforts were immense. They were incredible in terms of helping me to get where I am so far.
All right. And I see your brother, tell me if I'm pronouncing his name correct, Ajani.
Yes.
Right, Ajani as well, fellow pro. So it was a family culture dedicated to the craft. Were there any sibling rivalries growing up?
Always. We there's a little space in the house that we used to have, like a little ball, and we'd set up, you know, 2 goals, and we'd attack each other, you know, every single day. Yeah. And you know, our parents used to get upset sometimes because, you know, they're hearing the ball banging off the wall or whatever.
Right.
You know, somebody ends up hurt because of a tackle or something.
Yeah. It wasn't inside the house though, right?
No, it was inside the house. Inside the house. Yeah.
Just know. This is why I want to say I put it on the record here. Right? If have anybody on this podcast right now that never played football inside the mother house?
Well, no, but you play it inside the house. Hold on. You play it inside the house.
Let me make my point, right? We've all done it, right? Why is it so hard to believe that this youth man and the brother do it?
Because the way you make it sound is like the parents know they're playing inside. They're not supposed to know you're playing inside. If they know you're playing inside, you're in trouble. So you're supposed to
when
sneak
that.
When
that's when you go stop. But when they go before.
when they go grocery or something, that is when they play inside.
I remember at that time.
When they home, you play outside.
When I was at that time, I had a beach ball and I was practicing taking free kicks over the coach, and the coach was a nice side chipping it and thing, but and I hit a picture and it falls down, pop, right behind our coach. Yeah, well, I didn't say nothing, and my mother only discovered that baby about 6 months later. So. Because my mother have this bad habit of changing around the house and thing.
So she changed it.
No, so she was like, all the time I wonder where this picture go and look at for long here. So my father say, I wonder which one of them two children do that, because he thinking about my sister and my little brother. She said, 2? You mean 3? I sure Hakeem was playing with that ball inside your house. And I said, oh, quiet. She said, but I really wonder, the cord there burst, nothing. I was like, oh, I thought you knew. She said, what? I said, no, I already kick a ball and.
But there it is.
Yeah. So as a parent, I will have to get vexed with my child, but I go hold it against them.
Fair enough.
I know that. I can't tell my son I never play in the house.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So sibling rivalry. Growing up, we see that you made it to the U15 of the United States. Just before you make that jump, did you always take it seriously, or was there a certain moment that you came to the realization that, hey, I could be better than average?
Yeah, I think I always took it seriously because the training that I was doing, I remember, when I was 9, 10 years old, whatever the case may be. Yeah. We'd spend 2-3 hours, and it wasn't me being forced to go train or me not wanting to train. Like I wanted to do it. It was something that I always wanted to do.
Right.
So
right.
When you're growing up in school and the teachers ask you, what are you going to be when you grow up? It was always, being a footballer. That was always the objective and the goal. So I always took it seriously. And then obviously I think there are certain milestones or certain moments in your life when you realize it's more attainable than you think, because, at the end of the day, it is a long shot. It's not something that everybody gets to do, and it's not somebody that everybody can do. And, you've got, just as you have people on your way telling you that, you can accomplish it, you can do it, there are just as many people saying that you won't be able to. So it definitely was always the goal. And I was very happy to be able to get there.
So.
All right. That same team, is there anyone that's on the current team that was on the 15 team with you, the USA? Or anyone that made it to the professional level, playing at a high level?
There are definitely a few guys. I was actually having this conversation with somebody the other day. I'm trying to remember some names. There are a few guys who ended up in Europe and playing now, who I met in that camp. And we just, whether we stayed in contact or not, just knowing their name and stuff like that. So yeah, there definitely are some. I'm trying to remember some names. I can't really remember any at the moment.
That's all good. You wouldn't bust your brain.
All right. So in the US, you frequently hear people talk about so I think Zlatan made it very like a hot topic. He talked about how in the US it's pay to play, and he hates it for youth development. If your parents can't put a lot of money into it, you probably can't make it as a pro. Like, what is your insight on this? How did you go through, playing and then getting into the profession?
So I think my path was a bit unorthodox in terms of everyone else, because I didn't play club for a while. I think up until I was maybe like 12, 13. So everybody's all playing club at this time. And
right.
Most of that time I was just training with my dad. I might guest play here or there with a team, but most of the time I was just training with him. And then when I did actually play for a club, he coached the team.
Right.
So I think the path was a bit different in terms of that. And then a couple years later, the academy program was kind of starting to come around and become a bigger name a little bit. So I ended up playing academy for a couple of years. And then, after that is usually going to college. So I think in terms of how everyone usually does it, it was definitely different to most people for me. And when you look back, I'm appreciative of it just as much, and not bothered that it was that way. But yeah, I think for me it was definitely different.
All right. So I see here that your career says you went on spend time training with a lot of European clubs. You can tell me if I'm wrong, right? Barca, Man City, Tottenham. Is that correct?
Barcelona, yes, that's correct.
Right. So tell us a bit about how you were scouted and the time across there.
Right. So Barca, there was a gentleman that came across from Europe at one point, and I think he was doing some work with a club locally, and then he ended up seeing some footage of me and whatnot, and
right.
kind of made that happen. And that was a really good experience. I was just a bit young to progress with it and continue at that time.
Right.
But that went really well. And then as far as the Manchester City and Tottenham, to be honest, I don't remember how the Tottenham one worked out, but Manchester City was scouting again through, I think, one of the youth national team tournaments. So
okay.
Yeah, that was really good as well. Unfortunately, I broke my leg on that trip, which was yeah, that was a crazy one to stomach, but yeah, that was still a good experience and still one that I enjoyed.
How old were you when you broke your foot?
I believe 15 at that
15.
point.
Wow.
And how was the rehab and getting back to full fitness, if you remember?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too difficult because it wasn't a bad break.
Right.
So I think I was just about 2 months or something like that with a cast on.
Okay.
And at that point, when I came back, I wasn't in school or anything yet, so I didn't have to struggle with too much other stuff at the time. It was just kind of focusing on healing up. So it wasn't too difficult. It was pretty easy.
Okay, that's good to hear. And so the time across there, you played with some. I'm seeing CSL Chelsea Academy. Is that correct?
All right, so that's the academy you were talking about, right?
Yeah, that's academy. Yeah.
So could you talk? I wanted you to talk about that. I wanted you to talk about so that academy. How did you get into that? What was that academy? Did that have a part to play in you getting those trials in Europe and stuff like that?
No. So that's just the local club from where I play. So the league, they called it academy, development academy, was just the way that it was structured in the country at the time. So that's just my local club in my area.
Oh, okay.
So where I grew up, I played against them when I was playing for my dad and whatnot, and then just ended up playing for them in the end.
Okay.
Did it have any influence from Chelsea itself? Did they send coaches over? How did that work?
No. All we really got was some the same gear that they had. So we had the same kit that they had. We had bags and stuff like that. But there was no. I wouldn't say there was any true affiliation in terms of coaching and stuff like that, because they.
Well, I need system to feed it through. Nothing like that. Or just right. Merchandising kind of.
Right. Because they had 2 or 3 other clubs in the country with the same kind of setup.
Okay.
All right. So let me ask you this question. From an early age, it seems like your parents were very supportive of you in terms of your athletic pursuits. Was there ever a decision if you would try to get into college and then go pro, or was the decision, I'm going pro one time? How was that balance for you? Because you mentioned after you broke your leg, you didn't really have to worry about the academics as such. So tell us about that.
Well, no, by that I just meant I wasn't in school, because it was over the summer, so I didn't have to worry about struggling to go to school on crutches and all that.
Right.
Yeah, no, but they were very supportive the whole way, and they had always told me from the beginning, whatever it is that I decided I wanted to do, they were going to support that. I still went down the path of looking at schools. I had a couple of offers from a couple of schools that I was looking at, and then at the end of the day, when it came down to it, and I was able to make a decision that allowed me to play professionally, that's when I kind of made that choice. I wasn't going to pass up on school without having something there capable for me.
Yeah.
So Joe, I'd like to ask this question, not all the details. Like, what schools were you considering going?
Yeah, so to be honest, I was looking at a couple of Ivy League schools. So like in the end, Princeton was the main school that I was looking at.
Nice.
Okay. I'm very sure you're from North now, because man just doing it hard. Yeah, I'm sure.
Relax yourself now,
I'm sure.
All right. So you went pro straight out of high school?
Yes, straight out of high school I did. Yeah.
All right, and that was with Rochester Rhinos.
Well, actually, in between that, I went to Switzerland first, where I was supposed to have signed my first contract. I was there for a few months, but I had a visa issue, so it didn't really pan out, which is why it's not like registered and all that. But I was there training for a while with the first team and all that. So that was like my first real pro experience, and then unfortunately, when that didn't work out, that's when I came back and ended up with Rochester.
How did that happen? How did you get the Swiss opportunity?
That's a good question.
and I only asked that because we had a previous guest, Akil, who was talking about he would send hundreds of emails to teams, sending his tape and stuff like this every day and all kind of stuff. So I just wanted to know, like, if that's what is normal,
No, I don't think it was that avenue, but I'm trying to remember. Actually, I really don't remember. But
that's interesting though.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think it would be from one of those tournaments again. But I don't.
You can't pinpoint something specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Understood. That's fair enough. Because youth tournaments tend to give a lot of opportunities, and the opportunity is there, so it makes sense. Especially as stand out from you.
So is the youth tournaments with your dad's team, or is that with the academy?
No, with the like youth national teams.
Yeah, under 15 teams and so forth.
Teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of those, the transition or the decision to go from U15 with the United States to U17 with Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, hold on, I'll say. How did he get onto the U15 United States team?
So that, I think that was just scouting through, like playing for the academy team, and then that just that's how that worked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That seemed incredible. America's big. America's a big place. Like, so you get scouted from club football.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I think I guess they make sure and document most, if not all, of the games probably.
Again, it's a system. Once you have a properly operating system, your odds are getting scouted or identifying talent, I should say. It's obviously going to be better, and that's what there is, a structure.
Do you remember if they were like you had to send out a lot of tapes of yourself and stuff like that?
No, you didn't really have to. I think the way that they did it, like they tried to communicate with all the coaches and stuff like that. They tried to have a look at, obviously, like they're looking at stats and stuff like that. And
right.
Yeah, that's really how they
And the players would know when scouts are in attendance.
Not really, to be honest. Other than if you were sharp enough to see them in like the U.S. soccer shirt or something like that,
right.
Then you know. But for the most part, they would try to have somebody watch the game, because the way they did it was a lot of the times the games would be played in the same place. So they'd have one or two guys kind of try to watch the games and see how it's going.
So how was that? How was it being with the national setup at under 15? Very competitive. Like, what was it like?
Yeah, it was definitely really competitive. It was eye-opening, because the way that they operated and did things was quite interesting just to be a part of, and it was enjoyable. So I think it's definitely an experience that I took something from and was able to grow from, because It was my first kind of, I guess you could call that a professional experience because of the way that it was taken care of. So that was really good for me.
All right, sorry, go ahead, Osei.
Right, yeah. The decision to switch from United States to Trinidad and Tobago, like when did that thought enter your mind, or did somebody pitch it to you, or what was the decision making process like?
The decision to
switch from United States to Trinidad and Tobago.
So to be honest, the plan was always kind of to play for Trinidad. Like I had always wanted to, because and that was from, you know, the World Cup experience and all that. And,
right.
My parents from there and growing up with the culture. So all of that kind of
and doubles and
right. all of that pushed it for me. So I think that was always really the plan whenever I was able to do that.
Yeah, I always say that not because I can't make kittens in our oven, I'm making it bread, you know.
So I did.
Come on.
All right.
I hear another one I was gonna add for you, Zwadi. I know you like your little metaphor and thing. A man say, if a lion have a cub in the zoo, is the cub a lion or is it a zoo?
What
that's not the front kind of wish.
It's real madness.
That's the front kind of height. But all right.
You see why I don't want to be a Northman, Dre? Anyway.
No, because you won't have a good understanding of literature. That's why.
That's all right. So the introduction to the Trinidad you set up. What was that like? Do you remember what the tournament was and how was it? How was the tournament?
Yeah, the first tournament was the Caribbean qualifiers, I think. Okay. And that experience was definitely new. It was new because I had never been in that kind of environment before, in terms of just being around so many Trinidad. Like that was the first time I was around so many Trinidadians who, like, I didn't know
right.
that kind of stuff. So
right.
It was new in that respect. But it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed every bit of it. And the tournament, that's when I think it's still a record. It should be, at least. We won 23-0 against BVI, and I think the first, so that was great. And you know, a lot of those guys that I met there are, you know, still involved in some way in the football. So that was good.
Okay.
So were you playing from the jump?
I was, yeah.
I'm sorry, before you ask the question, we'll say you had any issues understanding everybody's accent?
No.
No, none?
Nah.
Man grew up in Australia, encouragement.
Yeah, the thing is, like, occasionally for me, because obviously everybody still has their own kind of way of speaking. So some people would have been a little bit harder to understand than others. Some people were
for sure.
But no, I think, you know, for the most part, it was quite easy for me. I'd been accustomed hearing it, and it's still funny to me because, you know, for example, I'm sure you guys know Leston Paul.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So him and I, when we talk, everyone's complaining they don't understand, and I don't get it, but I understood everyone quite easily.
Right, nice.
Yeah, I don't understand Southman when they're talking sometimes.
That's only me, boy. Don't blame all Southman for my
Yeah, you can't judge South on OC. Come on.
You 17, you 20, and then senior team. But before that, you joined. You come back to Rochester Rhinos, right? That's where you signed your first professional contract.
Right.
What age were you when you signed?
That was 26. I think I should have been around
20.
20, yeah.
20, right? So
yeah, about
20-year-old signing professional contract. This was USL too?
Well, just USL, yeah.
Just USL, sorry. Yeah. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about how that was going away from home. It maybe wasn't your first time, but how was it? Maybe on your own and getting accustomed to the professional life.
Yeah, so I think that experience in Switzerland definitely made me more comfortable being away from home and stuff like that. I think that was really good for me. And to be honest, like my parents had always prepared me to be away from home in terms of, you know, I know how to cook for myself. I know how to take care of myself, clean, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really a difficult experience or anything like that. I mean, obviously you miss your family and whatnot,
sure.
but if anything, I was kind of happy to be just a little bit on my own for a little bit. You know, you get your own space.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel that, brother. Trust me.
Well, he didn't get the college experience, so yeah, I understand. I understand.
All right, and now Rochester, maybe it's north. I mean, North Carolina is south, but it's closer to. I don't know if it'll be like had the southern hospitality like South Carolina and lower down. But what were some of the differences? Was there any hard to say culture shock? We're moving from North Carolina to Rochester. Not really.
No, not really. I wouldn't say. I mean, the only thing is it's not really a culture thing, I'd say, but Rochester's a lot more. It's a lot more slower paced than where I was living in North Carolina.
Okay,
and
that's interesting.
Yeah, the weather is.
I wonder, boy.
Terrible.
So Rochester's what country in New York? It's not really
a little more. Yeah, it's up in the northwest, so it's a lot less interaction with people. It's definitely not the hustle and bustle like New York City or something like that.
Are you from Raleigh or Charlotte?
I'm from Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Yeah, Raleigh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a little busy, big city.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Me and Andrew went to school in South Carolina, and North Carolina definitely had it popping compared to South Carolina.
For sure.
And my uncle is in North Carolina, so.
And I actually living in South Carolina right now. I'm talking to you from South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. So, did you ever feel like you were at a disadvantage because you went straight from high school into pro? Like, do you feel as if you would have benefited from playing collegiate?
In terms of playing like professionally?
Yeah.
Not really, to be honest. No, I think I enjoyed being able to get in at a younger age and being able to refine myself, and kind of going into the question that he was going to ask. I think it helped me and prepared me to start, you know, the profession, because I started the professional process so much earlier.
Younger,
yeah. So he was ready to be a pro.
Right, and being able to you know, make the changes in my game that I needed to make, and even still now I'm still making them. But I mean, you know, there are guys, you know, I'll have a conversation with guys regularly who, you know, there are guys who are now coming into the league that are my age and talking to me and saying,
right.
Oh, I wish I could have done this, or I wish I could have done that. And, you know, there's pros and cons to everything. Nobody's gonna, you know, nobody's perfect. I'm not saying the way I did it was the perfect way or the best way, but
it worked for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
So,
I think it paid off.
You're watching these guys the same age and saying, I'm your veteran. You're my rookie.
No.
I'm the OG. Yeah.
No, because I mean, I give him that. The thing is, especially, and I think that was the advantage that he would have had with focused support, that he didn't need that maturing process that a lot of people would have needed to get in our college system. He was ready from early. He got challenged from that. So I think that's paying dividends now, and I really appreciate the impact. It's really good.
Well, I asked the question because I was interested in if because again, I think it was Akil or somebody was talking about in their interview that it was interesting the tactical differences each level they went up. So they didn't go high school in the US, they went high school in Trinidad. So they had the level they were doing there. Then they came to collegiate and the level went up a little bit, but then they went pro, and again the tactics changed a little bit. So I think he was saying all the way through until pro, nobody forced him to use his left foot. So he was all right foot the whole time.
There's levels to the game, and those are just kind of part of it. I mean, when the way that the game is analyzed, the way that the game is perceived, the details in the game and all that kind of stuff, you know, the more you progress, the more they become important. So I can completely understand something like that. I can see something like that. Or even, you know, when you go in and you're discussing certain tactics and certain ways that you have to play, it definitely goes up and takes a step. And even, you know, going from club to the national team, those are steps that, you know, and things are different. You have so much less time to grasp so much information.
Yeah.
So you just, you know, you always have to be thinking and be ready for that.
Dre, you know Andy Solani though?
Yeah.
I think last time I was up by him, I think last time I was up by him, I was by a parents. I came across him on a line now. Because when I say rally, it was like, I remember that because our next man come, he say, boy, we getting dialect straight off the boat.
So, so you probably see how shitty one is, man.
I was in a professional setup.
Yeah, Dre. So you know, you say the tactical setup wasn't bad. But was there any particular point or any particular aspect that was developed in this team? Or, I don't know, was it maturity? Was it outside of football? Like, what you could remember the most from your playing time with Rochester?
I think so I think for me there was a lot of adversity in that situation. And so that was the first time where I really had to assess myself and really, you know, step outside of my comfort zone to grow. And you know, I didn't play much that year, and a lot of it, you know, the coach expected a lot from me and asked a lot from me, and I think, you know, that had a lot to do with that. And you know, being young and having to grow, having to learn, I think that was good for me in terms of just that whole growth period, and being able to now look back and say, you know what, that was really good for me. And the way I deal with situations now, I think are all attributed to a lot to that year.
Okay.
So you're not a Man U fan by chance, right?
No.
You're not a So who do you support?
So I'll be honest. Growing up, so from 2002, 2003, Thierry Henry was the guy.
Oh God! I already know this going.
Right. So for me, you know, for a lot of years, that's what my allegiance were. But it's difficult. It's tough now because, you know, the players aren't the same.
Bro, listen, I'm an Arsenal fan as well. I like 3 Arsenal fans that denouncing Arsenal like publicly. It meant denouncing like us.
Have a tweet that say Thierry Henry,
yeah boy,
tricked 2 generations of people into supporting Arsenal, right? So don't feel bad.
Yeah, boy. We in the struggle together, boy, boy. Don't study it. Right? and the reason why I came a Man U fan is alongside the question of struggling and waiting for your time. Donny van der Beek, I don't know if you guys follow. He's not getting any playing time. And he real positive about it, boy. Like, just waiting for my time, and at least say I'll get my time and things like that. And you said you had to go through that to mature and things. But like, if you had to tell a up and coming youth or up and coming pro, what sort of advice would you give them while they wait on their turn?
I think so. Everybody at some point, I think, would say you're going to get an opportunity. You might not know what the opportunity looks like. You might not know what the opportunity is when it's in front of you, but it's going to come. And I think the most important thing is that you're just prepared for it. So it's very easy to be upset about the fact that you're not getting it, or, you know, worry about the fact that this isn't going well and this isn't going right. But I think if as long as you are focused on what it is that you want to do and you're prepared for when your opportunity comes, you'll be able to take it, and then from there everything writes itself.
That's good information there. So while you were waiting on your turn, did you attack training especially hard? How did you translate your frustration, maybe, or the mentality of not playing, or did you just try to get better? What was that like?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was definitely, lots of frustration and I wouldn't say giving up, but almost getting to a point where I was like, you know what, it's whatever, it doesn't really matter. Right. And I think that's why when I look back on it, it was so beneficial to me because one, I got that out the way.
Right.
And two, the coach didn't really allow that. He kept pushing and kept saying, yeah, you know what, you keep doing this, keep trying this, whatever the case may be. Right. So that kind of helped me with the mentality aspect of it. And, I'm human. So there are still moments where frustration is going to set in and you're going to be upset and frustrated. But I think just having that base and making sure that, that you're always working and prepared for when that moment comes. I think, that definitely came from that.
I mean, you go through it even out of football, entry-level job, it definitely might have a way to turn and buy some time and kiss a few babies, shake a few hands to get a chance and things like that. So it's not only in football that applies, not boy. So moving from Rochester to North Carolina, how did that happen? And I see you played a lot more, so I guess the coach on that side wanted you a lot or had more interest in playing you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I think obviously, and that's closer to home too, which is good.
Right.
Yeah, I think the first and foremost, you can't really ignore it. The playing style was different there. Okay. I think it was more suited to me and how I play.
If you don't mind me butting in, but how so? What do you mean by that?
So in Rochester was a bit more just defensive and defense oriented, right. And I'm more of at least for me, more of a technical player, more of an attacking player. So that's really what my game was more suited to. So I think that move helped me with that. But also, I grew a bit as well. So even in the beginning, Carolina, I wasn't playing as much in the beginning, and then halfway through that first season, I sorted some stuff out and ended up playing, and then we kind of went from there.
Okay. So more attacking, more suited to you. Did you have a more, well, you're playing now anyway, but do you have a freer role? Did you get the green light to attack?
Yeah, I a little bit. I mean, it was in the beginning, no, but I think after a while when there started to be a bit more production and going forward, creating chances, scoring goals and whatnot. That was kind of given a little bit, but the thing for me was always just making sure that I was doing my job on both sides of the ball, and that I always took that seriously and always tried to grow with that. So it was good to be able to work on that consistently.
Right. So I noticed your attacking prowess. So a few goals you scored, some player of the weeks you got. So it had one I saw. You pick up the ball, I think, and you bounce it off from the top of your box. And then a few seconds later, you collect it on the top of the next box and finish off. Can you say like fitness is one of the major attributes of you along with technical ability, or?
I would say so, but I'd also say this.
Yeah.
Whenever there's an opportunity to score, I make sure to around the box.
Right.
Yeah, I'm always wanting to score, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I've had the conversation over the years with some of the coaches, and one of the things that they noticed, they try to get me to be a bit more in terms of, my actions off the ball, but they realize, I'm always moving, I'm always looking to be, particularly in and around the box and stuff like that. So they appreciate that as well. Right. But yeah, anytime there's a chance to score, I'm there 100%.
You gotta tell it twice.
And I go like to that's what I was watching. So when I was watching your highlights, I'm like, this man moving like Lampard. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm
saying. The man stiffing out. He's stiffing out the weight now. Shot coming there. Let me get around that area there. So It looks like it does look like you definitely you like to score goals as a midfielder. Now, so is your role like a box to box, or are you a number 10 or what?
So I've done a little bit of both. I think I'm starting to find myself more comfortable with the box to box, because it allows me to get more touches on the ball too, which I appreciate. But I like them both for different reasons. I mean, the number 10 obviously you're closer to the goal. Whether people like to admit it or not, you have a little bit less responsibility. So that's always nice. But yeah, no, I like them both.
But do you like giving assists as well, or what?
Yeah. No, I do. That's a part of the game that I appreciate, because while I said I like Arsenal, I really like Barca growing up too, and that was a team where they're always sharing the ball with each other and always playing the extra pass, and that I began to appreciate that about football. So the extra pass is something that I really love and try to do. So
you went from playing for Chelsea to playing for Arsenal. That's what it sounds like you're saying. You went from everybody have to be defensive in their responsibilities and stuff like that to kind of owning the ball. So with your father taking such an interest in your career and stuff like that, does he is he like your harshest critic to this day? Like is he watching your performances and asking why you didn't do?
For sure. There's no denying, no question about that. That's easy.
Well, he's at every game though. He's watching every game.
Yeah. And that's something that I can't, I could never not appreciate, because both him and my mom made sure to always give that support, and that's always appreciated. And like you said, he's the biggest critic. So sometimes you don't want to hear it. Sometimes you don't like it. But I think the older I get and the more that I can appreciate the support that they've given me, I obviously understand that some days it's going to be what you want to hear. And honestly, even sometimes when I do play well, I mean, there was a game, I think I had 2 goals and assists. No, seriously, we won 5-0. And he told me good job, obviously, but then there's still, you could have had more. You could have had another.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'll never be, at least now, I'll never be upset about it. I understand where it comes from, and I appreciate that.
For sure.
I mean, I don't want to just assume your dad, because I heard you've mentioned your mom a couple of times and stuff like that. Now, is her interest in football like just based on you, or she had an interest in football from before as well?
Well, no, I mean, she never really played or anything like that. I think it's just, I don't want to say she doesn't have a choice, but my dad coaches, I play, my brother plays. It's something that's always been around. So she's always been there to help out and I guess do her part as well.
So something I've always been interested in. So from the outside, well, obviously maybe on the level of Premier League and La Liga and stuff like that. From the outside, people like to talk about tactics from a perspective like if it's a video game or something. So 4-4-2 with this thing and the movements, whatever. So in your career so far, how much have you experienced sort of that sort of concept of being drilled on tactics and stuff like that, and coaches being very concerned about why your positioning is in a certain way or certain movements in transition, etc. What has that been so far?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, some coaches are a lot more strict about it than others. So there are some coaches who are very, this is how we're playing. We need to be in this very rigid with the structure. And then there are some coaches who are a lot more loose about it. I mean, they're just more interested in, if this guy has the ball here, he needs to have an option here, and here.
More like a philosophy than tactics.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Whoever that may be, it is, but as long as there's somebody here.
Yeah.
Both of them obviously, they have their pros and cons, but everyone has their own way. So yeah, I think everyone does a little bit of both.
As a player, you have a preference. So do Do you prefer knowing kind of well drilled on exactly what's supposed to be weight type of thing, or you like more of the? I mean, you said you like Ronaldinho, so I assume the answer is the latter.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, what I've appreciated most and been happiest with is, having that structure on the defensive side of the ball, and then when you have the ball, having the freedom to move about the pitch and just make yourself available in different spaces. I think, it's fun to play the game that way, and it's a bit more confusing for the opponent as well, because 1 second they're looking up and it might be me they're up against, and then the next minute it's you, and they have to figure out how to deal with that and how to defend that, and all the different things that everyone brings to the table.
Okay.
Nice. So to one on a lighter note. So let me ask you this, Andre. Is your father an Arsenal fan as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that one time. It's same here, boy. We get a heavy dose of influence from that. I realize a lot of guys who Arsenal fans, the father definitely Arsenal fan. I trying to get my son watching Bruno and chanting goal and thing. I say, what you gonna do? Hopefully
Glory,
they back up, right? And the second question is your father your manager, agent, whatever you want to call it, or do you have a designated agent or something like that?
No, I mean, in the beginning he was more of an agent, but
Right.
now I work with an agency and
Right.
we'll take care of that. Yeah.
All right, cool. So you played for 3 years for North Carolina. What was the biggest learnings coming out of that experience?
Yeah, I think going into it, I was still a young professional, and so on the flip side of that, coming out on the other side, I think just getting myself into a routine, like a training routine, making sure I'm taking care of myself, just the things that make you a professional, I guess I would say, which are not always the easiest things to talk about now, because I don't remember all of them. They're just so normal now.
Right.
Just I think I grew a lot in that way through that experience. So that was really, I'm really grateful for those years and those moments that I was able to get all of that out of it.
Which one of your vets had the most impact on you?
There are a lot, actually, because to be honest, I was always one of the younger guys. Even it was crazy to me because obviously you guys know young guys like take equipment and stuff like that, away trips and all that. So going in, obviously I expected I would be one of those guys, and it seemed like every year I was like, all right, well, I won't have to do that anymore. And it's because, when guys are coming into the team, you're thinking, all right, these guys are new, but a lot of the guys who came in were older than me. Right. So I was always one of the younger guys. So those guys always kind of look after me, and everyone presented their own influence, because I would show up every day. I was, happy to be there and excited to work. And they just made sure to keep me, level-headed and keep me ticking over, whether things were going well and I was feeling good, making sure to remind me, keep doing these things that are helping you achieve this. And if it was not going so well, just reminding me to keep working and keep pushing so that I can get out of that little slump.
Cool. So 2019, called up to the senior team. I guess you were working towards that. How did you get the first call? Remember who? Did you get an email? Did they call you up? And how was the first game you played for Trinidad and Tobago senior team?
Yeah, I think I got a message on either a message on WhatsApp or a call on WhatsApp from the manager. Obviously Dennis was the coach at the time. And
right.
Yeah, that was it. It was obviously really exciting for me. I didn't really expect it at that time. things were going well in terms of the club season, and so I think the timing probably was good in terms of the space of if there was a time in my career when it would have happened, I think that would have been it. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, no, it was really exciting. And the first couple of games, I think it was Nation League games. I think we played Honduras and Martinique for those set. I didn't play either of them, but it was a good experience and good to be around the team and be around that kind of just a senior team football. So that was really good. And then I did end up playing not too long after that. We had some friendlies. I think we played Ecuador and Venezuela, and that's when I was able to play.
Okay. You remember that game? How was it? How was the first cap?
The Ecuador game?
Yeah. How was it? Anything stood out, or was just passed by?
No, I mean it was it was there was a lot of stuff going on, I'd say, because obviously it's the first start, and a few other guys were getting their first, whether it was their first start or just they hadn't played as much.
Right.
So everyone wants to impress, obviously. And then I believe we were in Ecuador, either in Ecuador or in Venezuela, one of the two. Okay. And so the crowd is there and making sure that they're heard and whatnot. And then on top of that, we played, I think Valencia played for them that day, who's a big player you watch on TV and stuff like that. Yeah, for
sure.
Yeah, so there was quite a bit going on at the time, but no, it was at the end of the day, it's a game of football. It's what you want. It's what you're playing the game for. So that was good.
You got full 90?
Not quite. I think, did I? No, I think I came off in the second half at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gold Cup, you all had the whole nation behind all this. I think we were chanting in the living room for that penalty shootout for Parental to just save one. And I remember sending a whole group chat, and everybody was just like, just save one. How was that experience with that game in particular? Came down to penalties. Was it nerve-wracking? What do you remember about that game?
Yeah, I just remember nerves, honestly, because that's the first time I'd ever been in a penalty shootout, and
right.
I do trust myself from the spot. I scored a few goals.
Yeah, you took it real calmly.
But the thing is that walk up, I mean, like you said, one thing that we always made sure to remember was, the whole country is watching us, and more so at that time. Obviously, we're not out of it yet, but the state of football in the country wasn't at its highest, and we were trying to restore some hope and some love for the game and for the national team. So yeah, that was, all of that is kind of going through all of our heads, and walking up to the spot. Nobody had missed yet either. So I think, that definitely plays in your head, because you don't want to be the guy to miss. You don't want to be the first one. Right. So, I was definitely thinking about all that as well. And at the end of the walk, I just kind of had to compose myself and remind myself, this is the same penalty you take in training. It's the same penalty in the club. Same distance, same size of the goal, all that. So I was able to calm myself down from there. But yeah, definitely just nerves.
Okay. So how did this work though? Because I see some madness with some coaches who are wrong asking the same day if men want to take. Did you guys plan it out before, or how was it?
Well, so coach had us at the end of each training session. He had us taking penalties.
Right.
And then when it came around, he did ask. He just asked. He said, "Who wants to take one?" So, the first five guys kind of put up their hand at it sporadically. I remember. So Muckett said he wanted to take one, but he didn't know he was going first. He still did this thing. So no, everyone we got a 5 together, and then after that, obviously, it's 1 by 1, and so they were kind of. It was a mix of calling out from the sideline who they were sending up, and there was one guy. I'm not gonna put him on the spot, but
don't put him on blast.
They asked him to take one, and he was honest. He was honest in terms of, I don't want to take one. I'm not feeling it. And for me, at least, I respect that so much, just because it's easy to say, you know what, you should want to take one. You should be taking one, but he put the team above himself. Right. He didn't, a lot of guys would want that glory, and he was selfless in that moment, and somebody did step up, and we end up winning, and that's all we could ask for.
For sure. I could feel the energy in Trinidad from that football. Trust me, and we carried it over to the Mexico game. Did you play in that game? Did you come on in that game?
No, I didn't come on in that game.
But what was it like? You still could feel how intense it was. The crowd was aggressive. What do you remember about that game?
Yeah, I mean, from the moment we arrived to the stadium, I mean, there's traffic everywhere. So many and we knew it would have been, heavily favored to the Mexicans in terms of like the fans and how many and whatnot. So the whole stadium is green. They're all there long before kickoff. They're making lots of noise, and to be honest, it's although we were the away team, it seemed like it. That's the kind of environment that I think everyone would want to play in on a given day. So definitely appreciative of that, and the experience, to be able to walk out of there. And obviously it was unfortunate with the injury situation,
for sure.
And the way everything turned out afterwards, but the result was huge for us, for the country. We were so happy with that, and we wish we could have built on it a bit more, but that was big time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So how did the trade to Memphis happen? Did the coach want you, or normally USA football is a little different? It's trades in USL, right? How does it?
Well, this one in particular, like I went to Nashville, the MLS team, for preseason.
Right.
And that was it was a pretty wild scenario. There was COVID involved, and stuff like that. So nothing went to plan with that. So after that, the coach had already contacted my agent, and I think after the season before, and discussed his interest and whatnot. So I think it kind of went from there. My contract was up with North Carolina, and they were switching leagues as well. So
okay.
It was pretty straightforward, to be honest.
Wow.
They were switching leagues. What do you mean by that?
They went to League One, which is like the league below the USL Championship.
That's like relegation?
No.
Not really, right?
Yeah, that was just, I think, with some of the strains from COVID and stuff like that. I think financially that was a decision that they made.
Okay. Understood. And you meet up Lester and Paul in Memphis. Mm-hmm. That's the first time you played a fellow Trini, or you had Trinis on your side before?
No, I think that's the first time I played with. No. I played with Kareem Moses. I don't know if you know him. He was in North Carolina. Yeah, he played for the national team a couple of times.
Okay, nice. So Memphis, how's it going so far? This is the first season, right?
Yeah, this first season, yeah.
How's it going so far, and what would you like to achieve this season?
So I think, it started off kind of slow for me personally. So I wasn't too pleased with that, but things are starting to look up now and look a bit better. And for me, I'm usually a guy who's involved in the goals and the assists and whatnot. And
right.
Obviously hasn't happened yet, which is disappointing. But like I mentioned before, just in terms of making sure every day that I'm going back in and working hard. And we had a little break recently, and I had some conversations with the coach and with family, and I think since then I've turned some things around and started playing much better, and the team is in a good spot right now, pushing for playoffs. So we're just hoping everything kind of comes together as the season's coming to an end.
So what's next for you, man? What's next for you? You want to continue, like you want to get into the MLS? Like what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hope and that's a goal for me right now. And I've always said that I want to go where football will take me. I just want to, play to the best of my abilities and see how far that'll get me. So that's definitely a goal of mine. I've always wanted to go back to Europe. Obviously, that's depending on certain situations, and it's even harder now than it would have been before. But that's something that I'm going to keep trying out as well.
And also getting more caps for Trinidad.
Of course. That's I personally really enjoyed the time with Angus. I thought he was spectacular with the group in terms of he brought something to the table in terms of what he wanted tactically and even off the field. I think he did a really good job of just getting to know everybody and getting everybody on his side, really. So I think all around that's good for me, and I hope I can do that. I hope I can be involved.
So my last question would just be what's something, I think I asked this before to somebody else, but like what's something that fans say and think often about footballers that is really just a huge misconception? So what's like something you see people tweeting about and saying all kinds of stuff that's like, oh, that's nothing like what it's like?
I think one thing for me, and maybe I'm a little biased, but a lot of people only see the end product. A lot of people only see, Saturday night when the ball kicks off and guys are running around and enjoying themselves. I don't think people are fully aware of everything that it takes to play, specifically at a professional level. I mean, there's so much other stuff involved in it that we have to account for and take care of. And even my friends sometimes they get a little carried away and they think life is just easy and fun all the time. But
right.
I don't know. I mean, everybody obviously has their own stuff that they have to go through. I'm not trying to make it seem like we're some kind of superhero or something like that. But we definitely put in a lot more work, I think, than people realize or are aware of.
Yeah, okay. Fans are definitely, and myself included, you really want to hear about it's like they act like athletes. They are not humans too, yeah, for real. So my last question, you're still a young adult, like what would you tell a youth that in Trinidad and Tobago trying or in the US trying to make it, maybe they're on the brink of giving up, maybe they're not, there's some broad advice to youth that want to make it to the professional level?
Similarly to what I had stated before, in terms of just making sure that you're always ready, always prepared, and always working. I mean, there are going to be countless ups and downs, and not even in just the game, but in life in general. So, I mean, just recognizing that's a part of it and accepting that for what it is, and not allowing that to bring you down and consume you too much, because those are going to happen. They happen to everybody. And just making sure, staying focused, making sure that, if this is my goal, what are the steps I need to do to accomplish it, and not letting other stuff get in your way, because a lot of the times it's easy to get distracted and want to go do things that other people are doing. And, that might not be best for you. So just focusing on yourself and making sure that you're taking the proper steps to achieve what you want to achieve.
Sounds good. Yes. Andre, we really appreciate you, bro. We want to thank you for coming on and sharing some knowledge with us. It was really good getting to know you.
Real level-headed, though. Real level-headed. Very
good interview.
I feel like that you've benefited from being like the youngest so often. So you're around a lot of old heads who kind of keeping you. Hey, let me just focus though. Like, yeah, so it's very good talking, very good listening to you. For sure. Very measured in almost everything you said, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
And don't give up on us, no, boy.
No. Give up on us. Give up on us. We're going through too much already. We're going through like COVID, like all kind of thing we're dealing with. You don't need that. You don't need that too.
So, bro, once again, we want to thank you for coming on. We know the people enjoy to look at it. We get to know you better, more insights on your story. We fill in the gaps from Wikipedia, so that's good. You're up and comer with the national team, and we hope to see more of you with Anchors. We want to wish you and your team all the best going forward in the USL, and all the best, bro.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate that.
Yeah, bro, it was a pleasure. Have a good night.
Thank you too.
Yeah, blessings. Later.
Fire.